Well, speaking of candidates, former Vice President and 2020 candidate Joe Biden unveiled the first policy proposal of his campaign yesterday. He announced the plan in Houston at a town hall with the American Federation of Teachers. That's actually the second largest teachers union in the nation. And Biden's proposal would triple federal spending on low-income schools, taking it from $16 billion to about $48 billion. The bulk of that money would be used to give teachers a raise. And the plan would also pay teachers for extra work if they are coaches or mentors, and use also a federal program to help educators pay off their loans. Biden emphasized that he wants to help teachers receive competitive wages and benefits.
You all went out and went to college. You spent 4 years. You ended up with a debt, most of you, if not all of you. And you end up in a situation where you, in fact, are making 25% less than most college graduates. And it's just not right.
Joining me now is Politico education reporter Michael Stratford. Michael, so who do you think is going to like this plan and who's not going to like it?
Teachers and teachers unions are definitely going to like this plan. It's no mistake that former Vice President Biden made his big announcement yesterday, which was actually his first major, not just education plan, but first major policy plan. Made it in front of an audience of educators at a teachers union sponsored event. As you said, the plan calls for increasing teacher pay, spending tens of billions of dollars more each year from the federal government on improving not just the pay for teachers, but as you said, making it easier for teachers to obtain other credentials, helping teachers who have student loan debt retire that student loan debt more quickly through their service. So teachers are definitely would be a big winner in his plan.
You know, Michael, as a parent, I feel like we don't talk about education enough, and particularly on the campaign trail. I'm curious how his plan matches up. Have we heard anything from other candidates about their education plan?
We have heard from the other candidates about education, and it seems like teacher pay and the conditions, the working conditions of teachers are really something that's catching a little more attention from at least the Democratic side of the field this year, or this cycle. We don't typically hear as detailed plans from candidates on teacher pay. Senator Kamala Harris has a bold proposal for a $315 billion investment in to raise the salaries of teachers. Senator Bernie Sanders has similarly proposed tripling funding for low-income schools to give teachers a raise. Senator Elizabeth Warren has talked about how it will be important to her to name a public school teacher to the role of education secretary. So we're hearing more and more from candidates, probably more than we have in the past, about the working conditions of teachers and Democrats wanting to give teachers a raise.
Is this sort of a winning issue that'll mobilize people at the ballot box?
You know, it's playing to a key constituency of Democrats, which is teachers' unions. It is a crowded Democratic primary field, and candidates are really trying to gain the support of teachers and teachers' unions. Those are coveted endorsements in a crowded primary field. I think it also capitalizes on a change in the Democratic Party on this issue. You saw over the past year, major teacher walkouts, protests, strikes in a number of states, both red states, blue states, big cities, smaller areas. It's something that is increasingly, I think, capturing public attention and certainly the attention of Democratic primary voters.
Michael, one of the big education debates that we're seeing within the Democratic Party is the role of charter schools. What are you hearing on the campaign trail, those for and against, and what positions are they taking?
You know, this is another area where we're seeing a big change in how Democrats are talking about charter schools. It wasn't that long ago where charter schools actually enjoyed fairly broad bipartisan support. The Obama administration, for instance, was supportive of charter schools and pushed to expand charter schools. But I think what you're seeing now is both in a race on the Democratic side to be seen as the biggest, most prominent defender of traditional public education. Part of that, I think, is a response to the teacher strikes I mentioned, but another part of it is Democrats responding to the Trump administration, and in particular, a particularly polarizing cabinet secretary and Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos. She's loathed on the left for her support of school choice, in particular private school choice. So I think you've seen a sort of a reaction to that from Democratic candidates who are talking about, nearly all of them have come out and said they don't like for-profit charter schools and don't want federal funding for charter schools that are managed by for-profit companies. And some have, like Bernie Sanders, have even gone further in saying that they want to see a moratorium on all federal support for charter schools.
Politico education reporter Michael Stratford. Michael, grateful you could join us.
Thanks for having me.